Do you struggle to maintain weight loss but desperately want to feel good in your own skin, confident in your clothes, and improve your overall health? If so, you're home. Hey, I'm Sam. I'm an elder millennial, dietitian, specialist in weight management, and former functioning fat girl. I learned how to win at weight loss by breaking free from diet culture PTSD. My mission is to marry the science with practical, real-life strategies because we all know if it's not realistic, it's not happening. Are you ready to ditch diet culture and learn how to win at weight loss? Grab your water bottle and let's go. Before we get started on today's amazing episode, I just want to remind you that if you're not subscribed to my email newsletter, More Than a Number Weekly, you're missing out. I break down the most important points of these podcast episodes, provide you with effective freebies, and give you first dibs on any new offers or programs that I'm running. This is the best way to stay in contact with me, and you can even send in ideas for specific topics you want me to break down on the podcast. So don't miss out and go to bit.ly/MTAN weekly. MTAN like more than a number. So it's bit.ly, B as in boy, it.ly/MTAN weekly. Okay, let's dig into the episode. So for a good 10 plus years into my weight loss journey, like mid-20s through mid to late 30s, if I noticed my pants getting a little tight or found myself just straight up off the wagon, as soon as I would kick myself back into gear, within a week or two, my body would respond exactly how I wanted it to. It was awesome. I'd be back in action, feeling good, seeing results. Now that I'm in my 40s, no. It feels like it takes a move of God to see even the slightest movement on the scale or in my clothes. I started recognizing a few years ago that what has quote unquote worked for me in the past is a complete waste of energy now because it don't work no more. Who knows what I'm talking about here? Can you relate? Well, hey friends, how are we doing today? If you're a regular here, welcome back to More Than a Number. And if this is your first time listening, I am so glad you found us. You already know my mission. We marry the science with practical, tactical, real-life strategies. Because if it can't realistically fit into your life long-term, it's not happening. So who else has ever found themselves saying, I swear I used to be able to lose weight so much easier than this? Or maybe I'm doing the same things I've always done, but nothing works anymore. Or what about the classic? I just need to cut out all carbs and get serious again. Poor carbs. If that's you, especially if you're over 40 and in the elder millennial club like me, this episode is for you. So if nothing is working anymore like it used to, do we just throw in the towel, say forget it, crack open the Oreos and lean into the opposite extreme? No, ma'am. Put the cookies back. Or have one. That's fine too. Today, we're talking about why it's harder to lose weight after 40 and why the answer is not just doubling down on restriction. So let's normalize something immediately. Perimenopause is not just hot flashes and mood swings. It's a metabolic shift, a hormonal shift. It's a body composition shift. And it can feel like your body changed the rules on you overnight without telling you. You might notice that you tend to hold more weight in your abdomen than you ever did before. You are struggling with sleep, either struggling to fall asleep or can't sleep throughout the night. Hello, night sweats. It can cause increased anxiety, energy crashes, more frequent and intense cravings, and slower recovery from workouts. And the most frustrating part, you didn't do anything to cause it. You didn't suddenly lose discipline. You didn't wake up lazy. Your hormones are shifting, and that really, really matters. So let's break it down simply. The first thing is estrogen. So typically, estrogen starts to decline when we go into those perimenopausal years, which, by the way, is different for every woman. But it can start, in the mid to later 30s and go all the way through our 50s until you're fully done with menopause. So as estrogen begins to fluctuate and decline during those years, we will see that like increased fat storage in the abdomen where maybe we never saw it before. We can see changes in insulin sensitivity, changes in hunger regulation. Estrogen is like protective in many ways, especially metabolically. So when it drops, fat distribution shifts. That's why, like I said before, you might feel like you've never carried weight in your stomach before, and now all of a sudden it's starting to accumulate there. You're not imagining it. It's just the reality of where you're at. The second thing that's happening is that our muscle mass is declining. So starting in our 30s and then really ramping up and accelerating in our 40s, we begin losing lean body mass, lean muscle mass, if we are not actively preserving it. And how do we preserve it? We eat plenty of protein and we incorporate resistance exercise regularly. Less muscle equals a lower resting metabolic rate, which means your calorie needs will decline subtly over time. So if your needs are declining, but you're still eating the same amount, you can kind of inadvertently end up in a calorie surplus and then, put yourself at risk for weight gain without even realizing it. So if you're eating the same way that you were eating at 30 and moving the same way that you were moving at 30, the math changes. And it's not like dramatic, it's subtle, which is why it feels like it literally comes out of nowhere to backslap us across the face and confuse the heck out of us. Because we're like, we're doing all the right things. Why am I gaining weight? Well, the math changed. The third thing that's happening during this time is our sleep disruptions. So perimenopause can often lead to incredibly disrupted sleep. And in my personal and professional opinion, sleep is quite possibly the most underrated factor in a long-term weight loss journey. We really don't realize how incredibly important it is to all systems of our body. And I really make it a point to hone in on our sleep hygiene when I'm working with my clients because it is that important. When it comes specifically to weight loss and weight maintenance, poor sleep can increase ghrelin, which is our hunger hormone, and it decreases leptin, which is our satiety hormone. So essentially, we feel more hungry and less satisfied throughout the day. It increases cravings, and it increases our stress response. So we are biologically more likely to overeat when we've underslept. This is not a character defect or a lack of discipline. It's biology. It's science, people. The fourth thing that happens is cortisol sensitivity. So I'm sure that you have heard that cortisol is our stress hormone. I think that's pretty well known to people these days. But cortisol is really misunderstood. And midlife often comes with a lot of stress. It actually is hard for me to say that out loud. Midlife. Does anybody else struggle with that? If you're in your 40s, that we're considered midlife now? Wild. Anyway. Midlife often comes like I said, with a ton of stress. I mean, there's, our careers, we can be caregivers, parenting stress if you have kids, aging parent stress if you yourself have parents that are getting up there and need your help now. And so chronic stress increases our cortisol levels. And chronically elevated cortisol can contribute to that abdominal fat storage and increased appetite. So cortisol actually plays a really key role in our body. And it's not that we don't want any cortisol or that we never want it to be elevated. There's a rhyme and a reason for it. And without getting into the weeds on all of that, the main point that we understand is that if it is chronically elevated, so just continuously elevated, that's where our problems start. So again, it's not a lack of willpower. It is the physiology of our bodies. Now let's talk about what most women, myself included, do next. They panic. They say, okay, fine, I just need to be stricter. I need to cut out all carbs. I need to only eat 1,200 calories a day or 1,000. Sometimes I've heard, some women tell me, well, I really try to stay at 1,000 or under calories a day and nothing's happening. Oh my goodness, it's way too low. Or we want to add all the cardio. Just admit it. You've said one or all of those things. I have myself as well, at least 700 times in my life. So here's where I'm going to lovingly call you out. Trying to lose weight fast, really at any point, but especially in midlife, is usually the fastest way to stall your progress, to sabotage your progress. Why? Well, because aggressive calorie deficits increase muscle loss. So if you're not strength training and eating enough protein, a significant portion of weight loss is going to come from lean mass, and that is not good. Like, we see the number go down on the scale and we get excited, but if that's coming from our muscle mass, that's no bueno, friends. Less muscle equals a slower metabolism long term. Excess cardio increases stress load. So we need cardio. Every person should be doing some form of cardiovascular exercise regularly, but more cardio without recovery can increase cortisol, which then your body is already sensitive to, as we just said. And then the classic, the immediate go-to, cut out all carbs, get rid of all the carbies. Extreme low-carb diet approaches are very rarely sustainable. So you might see a quick drop on the scale, which typically is mostly water, but if it's not something that you're able to maintain, you are literally setting yourself up for another cycle of the I'll start over again on Monday routine. Carbohydrates, just very quickly, I'll interject in here for a minute. I just thought of something that I want to make sure that we understand. And that is how our intake of carbohydrate can affect what the scale says. Let's say you typically eat, and I'm just literally pulling numbers out of nowhere just for an easy example. Please do not take this as this is my recommendation that you should be eating this many grams of carbs. But let's just say your body, you typically take in 100 to 130 grams of carbohydrate a day. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, you go away for the weekend and you have alcohol, you have more carb source foods than you normally do on a regular occasion. and you end up taking in 250 grams of carbohydrate or more for a few days. Then you come home and you get on the scale and you have a mild heart attack because now the scale went up. It's most likely you did not gain like 5 pounds or 10 pounds of fat over the weekend. It's more than likely that because of the higher carbohydrate intake, also could be sodium, more sodium intake, it's water retention. So the abbreviation for carbohydrate is CHO, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. What is water? H2O, hydrogen and oxygen, right? So carbohydrates are just made up of more water than the other macronutrients. So if we end up taking in on even a day, like I have people that'll be like, oh, I never eat carbs, and then one day I ate a bagel and I got on the scale the next day and it said it was 1.5 pounds up. So I can't ever eat carbohydrates because it just makes me gain weight. I 100% promise you, you did not gain 1.5 pounds because you ate one bagel in a day. It just doesn't work like that. It's more than likely the fluid shifts. So we have to detach from that emotion of what the scale says and be able to just look at the number as data and be able to look back and think, well, what have I been doing for the last couple of days? Oh, you know what? I have been eating a lot more carb than normal. Okay, that makes sense. And then I go back to my normal routine of that, whatever I said, 100 to 130 grams of carbohydrate a day. And then in a couple of days, it'll be gone. Okay, so the answer is not to immediately cut out all carbohydrates. I know for a fact that you are sick and tired of starting over. So don't let that kind of fuel that same negative cycle of starting over every Monday. So what actually works after 40? Here's what I hope will feel empowering. The strategy does not need to be extreme. In fact, it shouldn't be. We don't want extreme. We want to be smart. We want to be strategic about it. It's got to be strategic. So if I have a new private client, if I'm talking to somebody in their winning at weight loss breakthrough session, and we're kind of going through everything that they're doing. That private client is a 45-year-old woman, and she's sitting in front of me saying, I just want to lose weight, but nothing is working. Here's where I'd start. These are the things that we want to really take into consideration, assess where you're at with them, and then where we want to take it to. So, number 1, resistance training. If you missed last week's episode, go back and listen, because the entire episode was about why incorporating strength training regularly is critical for our long-term journey. This is non-negotiable, really, in my opinion, at any point in life, but especially in midlife. We have to preserve our muscle, not for vanity, for metabolic health, for our insulin sensitivity, for our bone density, and our long-term weight maintenance. As we age, we can be much more at risk for falls and broken bones if we have low muscle mass. You don't need a 5-day split. You don't need to be a bodybuilder. You just need to be consistent 2 to 3 times a week. Start with 1 time a week and build up to 2 to 3 times a week resistance exercise. Number 2, a high protein diet. That protein needs to be intentionally distributed throughout the day. So it's often mistakenly thought that as we get older, our needs decrease. Our calorie needs may decrease, but our protein needs actually increase as we age. Not dramatically, but enough that it really does matter. I typically will start with just saying, make sure that you are eating throughout the day and that every time that you're eating, that you're getting a good source of protein at every meal. A good source to start with is approximately 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal. That would just be a starting range. If we're working together one-on-one, then I will calculate exactly what your protein needs are for the day and then break that down into meals and snacks. So just as a kind of general rule of thumb, I would start with that 25 to 35 grams per meal. And, again, I say most everyone because everybody's different. So it is definitely a great idea to get your individual protein needs. If you need help with that, you can book yourself a breakthrough session with me and go from there. But typically 25 to 35 grams per meal is a good place to start. Protein supports our muscle retention, our satiety. It is like 20 something times more satiating than any other macronutrient. So meaning it keeps us feeling satisfied for longer throughout the day and we don't feel, like we're hungry every hour. It also stabilizes our blood sugars, which is very, very important. And it's good for our recovery, our muscle recovery. This is not about obsessing about numbers. It's about being intentional. It's about being strategic and smart, like I was just saying. The third thing we want to look at is walking, getting our steps in, just reducing our sedentary time. I know that, that 10,000 steps a day is talked about all the time. People kind of stand around and just like move their feet to try to get steps in. Hey, whatever you got to do. But the point is that we're reducing the amount of time that we're just sitting and being sedentary. So whether you have time to actually go to the gym and walk on a treadmill, or if you just force yourself to park further away wherever you go throughout the day and walk more, just get them in. Not as punishment, not to earn food or work off food, but because movement regulates our blood sugar, it improves our mood, and it supports our metabolic flexibility. Number 4, sleep. Sleep like it is your job. You cannot out-diet chronic sleep deprivation. So if we improve sleep, our hunger improves, meaning it decreases. We have less cravings, less intense cravings. Our energy improves, our training improves. This is foundational to our long-term weight loss and weight maintenance journey. And then number 5, we have moderate, sustainable calorie deficits. We're not talking about starvation. We are not going down to that crazy 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day. A smart, modest 250 to 500 calorie deficit at the most, and it's not punishment. It's slow, it's steady, and it's preserving our muscle. Midlife is not the season for extreme dieting, okay? It is the season for intelligent, smart strategy. Now, if you have listened to this podcast in the past, you've definitely heard me talk about identity and why it is so important to this process. Here is something that I want you to hear very, very clearly. You cannot treat your 45-year-old body like it's 25. What quote unquote worked 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even a year ago may not be what your body needs now. But that doesn't mean that your best health is behind you. It means your strategy has to evolve. Perimenopause is not a punishment, as much as it might feel that way sometimes. It's a pivot point. Cue Ross, if you know, you know. Pivot. It is a pivot point. It's a shift from I need to lose weight as fast as possible to I need to support my body intelligently. And when you do that, the weight loss becomes more stable, meaning it's maintaining. The maintenance becomes more realistic because now it's just part of your life. It's your new normal. And the mental chaos quiets down. So all of that food noise that tries to sabotage us quiets down. So let me speak directly to the woman who is thinking, okay, this makes sense, but I have no idea how to apply this to me. That is exactly why I created my Winning at Weight Loss Breakthrough session. In that 1 hour together, we're going to audit your current calorie intake, evaluate your protein, look at your movement patterns, your exercise. We'll discuss your sleep hygiene. We're going to identify your stress load. We assess whether you're under fueling or over restricting. And we're going to build a strategy that's tailored to the body you're living in right now and how to make it its best, healthiest that it can be. Not the one you had at 30, not your friend's body, not the influencer on social's body, yours. If you feel like your body changed the rules on you and you didn't get the memo, this session is for you. We stop throwing spaghetti at the wall. We stop jumping from low carb diet to detox to whatever other extreme plan. We build something that you can actually sustain. You can grab one of the limited spots available at bit.ly/win-at-weight-loss-now. That's bit.ly, B as in boy, it.ly/win-at-weight-loss-now. And I would absolutely love to work with you and help you achieve your goals. My friends, you are not broken. Your metabolism did not betray you, even though it feels that way. Your hormones are shifting. Your muscle mass needs attention. Your stress load matters, and your strategy needs to match your season of life. Stop trying to lose weight fast. Start trying to lose weight wisely. This is how we win at long-term weight loss and weight maintenance. Okay? I hope this helped you. I hope it blesses you, and I hope to hear from you. I love you. God loves you. I'll see you right back here next week. Hey friend, I hope you feel empowered by this episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share it with another friend who needs it? Also, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. Your reviews are what helps it get seen by more people who need it. Okay, time to go show up for myself, and I hope you do the same. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Have a blessed day.